Hello and welcome everyone. We appreciate you joining us for our webinar today. 7 ways a well-built website can generate leads. We know for those of you in Europe, it's a bit late in the afternoon, and for everyone around the world, it is holiday season and therefore New Year season, and everyone's cramming things in. So we'll try to keep this light and quick pace. We've got a lot to cover today, and so we will move fast. But just to set the context of the situation for today's topic, people have varying opinions on websites. Some see them as almost have to have and don't put much effort outside of that. Others see it as crucial to their operations and marketing and to their promotion of place, and therefore they give it a lot of attention. What we do see is that a lot of the leads that are generated through websites can be considered junk or just a waste of time. There's people wanting jobs. There's a lot of inquiries that aren't related to what we're ultimately trying to accomplish as a place brand organization, an FDI organization, a talent organization. That there are two things around that. Is it junk because the website isn't set up correctly? Or is it junk and there's a lot of good that's hidden in between the junk? And so what we're really hoping to do today is get through what does good look like, what does bad look like, and help to figure out how can we get more of that positive momentum, how can we get more of the quality leads to come through, ultimately providing more value for your organization and getting us to our KPIs a little bit more efficiently along the way. So with that, we will jump in. I'm going to start with some introductions. If you've joined a few of our webinars this fall and winter, you know who I am. I'm Steve Duncan, Managing Director of C Studios. I am based in Amsterdam. I'm being joined today by a longtime colleague of mine, Shan Lee. And Shan Lee, I'll have you introduce yourself.
There, I'm Shanley McStay. I'm the Director of Website Success at DCI, and I am located in Denver.
Excellent. And why don't you keep
A
it
little
going
bit
with who
about,
DCI is? Yes.
yeah, a little bit about DCI. We are a place marketing agency headquartered in New York. DCI has been around since 1960, started as a PR firm and has over the years evolved into a full service agency. So we work exclusively with economic development, talent attraction, and tourism. Today, we're going to be more focused on the economic development and direct investment piece of that. But lots of experience across lots of different websites in this industry and lots of research to kind of back up some of the things we'll be talking about.
Excellent. Thank you. And C Studios, we are actually a majority-owned DCI company. We are based in Amsterdam with people in London, Paris, Frankfurt. And so we're very well integrated with the DCI team, but we are more of a European operation focused on positioning strategy and the campaign and digital implementation. So both of us have done websites before. We specialize in websites. DCI is a longtime award-winning agency in that space, and we're bringing a lot of that expertise to the European market as well. With that in mind, and considering all the websites that we work on, that we've seen through a lot of our digital marketing projects, what does good look like? This is a bit of a projection based on the size of region, country that you may represent. And this is admittedly more on the FDI side. Some of you on the call may be talent attraction associated as well. And if you are, a lot of this content will still apply to you. But just in terms of framing this from an FDI perspective, a lot of these numbers are probably more for non-US organizations. Shanley and I both agree US organizations probably a little less than this. But these are pretty wide ranges from what we've seen with varying groups around the world that are trying to attract investment projects, inward investment projects, and are getting inquiries through their website. To clarify, this is qualified leads, not just total leads. The total number is often much higher, but as we mentioned at the outset, a lot of those are considered what we would call junk. And so these are the quality ones that often get through. So hopefully this provides you a bit of a sense as to where you should be depending on the size region that you represent. So now it's time to get into the 7 areas that we can improve to generate a better lead generation engine from the website. We're going to walk through all 7. Shanley and I are going to alternate. And Shanley, over to you to kick us off.
Our first area here is friction. So every extra click, every buried piece of content, every unnecessary form field, all of these things that sort of add up on websites, they really build friction, and that kills conversions. So some of the things that we see, more concrete examples of what this friction is: buried content in your site. You know exactly what your audience is looking for, and it should not be difficult for them to find that. So that content needs to be easy to access quickly. Gated content. I know we all love gated content as marketers, but research has shown time and time again that our audience does not like it. So being really tactful about where we're using it and making sure we're not having a bunch of unnecessary fields. Core navigation menu and logic. So when you're clicking into the website menu, it should be easy and quick to find the page that I'm looking for. Building that out will create an overall better experience and break that friction. And then lastly, geographic confusion. It's easy to think that everyone knows your area because you're in it and you're in that sphere every day. But the reality is a lot of people don't necessarily know what you're near, some of the cities close to you, some of the miles, big landmarks and things. So having any kind of map or details around your site to explain where you are located is going to be really helpful to your audience. The fix for this is clear paths, visible CTAs, clear navigation, and intuitive user design. This example here is for Fairfax Economic Development Authority. I think they do a beautiful job of organizing their navigation, and that's why I chose this. They have really 2 styles of navigation. So if I'm in their website and I click the drop down, I can see short little snippets explaining what the pages are about. But I also have the option of expanding that hamburger menu there and seeing just a really clear breakdown of the entire sitemap. This is a lovely site because it is so easy to find everything you need in an instant.
And I should mention that the links that you see in the lower left here, when we complete the webinar, we will send a copy of this out to you, and those links will be enabled. So all the examples that we'll share in here will be easily accessed from the document, the final PDF that we'll send with this presentation. The second area, we first messaging. We call it we first because it is very common to have places that write copy for themselves, that promote themselves, that talk all about themselves, and forget to talk about the audience and what they need. And this really erodes trust and credibility when this happens, which makes it difficult to grab that user's attention, whether that is a global talent or that is a global company. If the messaging is all about your region, then that person loses interest real fast. So we have a few symptoms of what this looks like. Number 1 is if every paragraph on your website is starting with your location is or has, that's a really good sign that it needs a copywriting refresh. And this is very easy to tell once this is in your mind, to go through your website and realize how many of your paragraphs start with your own location name. That is a really bad sign. That is usually combined with this features everywhere, benefits nowhere mentality, which is we have this, we are great at this. Look at who ranked us over here for this thing. That is not compelling copy. It's not a compelling narrative. We really need to lead with what are the benefits that audience member, again, whether it's talent or executives, can get from engaging with your region and eventually your organization. We see it a lot where organizations will actually start the message about talking, here is what we can do for you. The reason that company is there is because they are interested in your country, in your city, in your state. They are interested in the place. they're not necessarily interested in your organization yet. Your organization does provide a lot of assistance in helping to navigate that location journey, but really the focus should be on place first. And lastly, just a lack of overall context where are you? Shanley covered that as well. You'll hear about context a few times in this, but sometimes we have this high context assumption, meaning we're used to talking with local stakeholders, and so we put things in more of a local context, when really it is in an international picture of things. When people are coming from abroad, that context is very low, and we need to make sure that we consider that, so we're putting it in that user voice in the end. And so what's the fix? I highly recommend a trip to myhelsinki.fi. This is the Helsinki Partners website, and they've done a fantastic job from a copy standpoint. So the location is and location has symptom that we talked about. They do a fantastic job of avoiding this. It doesn't mean every paragraph doesn't have that, but they put it in very consumer-friendly terms. You see the bright colors, so from a design perspective, this is really great, but their copy is written in a really inviting way. I highly recommend that you check out their website. You'll see we have some technical recommendations as a part of these 7 things for lead generation. There's also some content and UX elements that are very important to this. And if somebody's coming in and just the attention isn't grabbed, the message isn't compelling, you are going to lose them before they're willing to give you their information and become a lead.
Our third item here is the poor conversion pathways. You've gotten somebody to your site, they're interested, they want to know more, but they don't really know what to do. If there's no clear next step, they're going to leave. And so how do we think about our sites in a way that we're preventing people from getting excited and coming to see us and then immediately leaving? Some of the things that we see that cause this are no clear call to action on our key pages. So immediately the home page, you should have a really clear pathway with buttons and bright colors to show where you want your users to go. What is the purpose of this page? Where am I driving you? This should exist on every page. Ideally, every page should have a purpose with those calls to action. This kind of ties back to my first one, but it is relevant to both. Forms with irrelevant or excessive fields. When our audience is filling out form fields, they don't want to do it in the first place. So they certainly don't want to tell you how many employees work in their company, details about their company, unless it's absolutely relevant to the form they're filling out. Oftentimes people will see more than 2 or 3 fields and abandon, or if they're really specific fields, they might think this form isn't for me and exit to find a different one and then ultimately leave your site. Mobile unfriendly contact methods. This is a big one and it's getting more important every year. I think everyone on this call has probably at some point gone to a restaurant website and tried to call from their phone and realized that the number didn't go anywhere. And then they had to stop what they were doing and find the number elsewhere. This is really common across websites and it shouldn't be. Your site should be a very, very easy connection to you, and people should be able to get in touch with you quickly and easily. And then lastly, no clear journey from awareness to action. So again, I'm interested in this site, I'm interested in this page, but I have no idea where to go from here. It's your job to make that pathway clear and to make sure that no user is asking themselves that question. So the fix for this is that every page on your site should have a purpose and a next step. If you can't explain the reason behind a page on your site, it doesn't need to be there. This is hard, I know, with stakeholders and investors sometimes, but it's a really important lesson to keep your site performing well and have our audience finding what they need. So this example here is the latest Bermuda Development Agency site. It actually launched last week. And they do a very nice job of organizing CTAs throughout this site. It does help that their brand colors are beautiful and fun, but these really bold calls to action throughout every single page, you'll realize that you never have a question about what you need to be doing. In their homepage here, immediately they have a registration link for their upcoming event in the very top of the website. They have a clear contact us button that goes straight to their contact page with a super clear and simple form. They have registration buttons. They immediately have a pathway you can choose when you open the site to decide if you want to learn more about their industries or Bermuda as a whole. And then throughout the site, they have a newsletter sign up at the bottom of each page with relevant news tied to that page content. So it's all just a really curated journey to make sure if I'm interested in this, I know all the steps that I can take to take this further.
Your team did a really wonderful job on that. So it's another highly recommended website to check out. Number 4 is all about weak proof points. So let's assume we have the conversion paths corrected. Your audience lands on a page. It's a international skilled professional, or it's an international executive. They land on your page and it's riddled with outdated information, poorly cited information that just does not clearly speak to the key points on that page and doesn't really support the overall message. It can really ruin the momentum of that visit from that visitor and prevent it. It's another friction point, frankly, but this is a point in particular that is really troublesome on a lot of these FDI and talent websites. The data are not cited. The citations are there, but they're outdated, and it's something from 2022 when we're in the year 2025, about to go into 2026. There might not be any data, facts, or success stories. These are 3 areas of third-party credibility: a data point, a factual statement of some sort, biggest, fastest, most, largest, those sorts of facts really help on a page. And then success stories, just showing what other companies are there. These are trust builders along the way, and if they're not on your page, then it's going to be really hard for somebody to go through the process of completing a form and becoming a lead if they can't trust the data that they're seeing. Again, the data lacks context. There's that word again, or the storytelling around it. We see a lot of times that cities or countries will talk about their GDP without any relation to what that is. I don't know what 20 billion in GDP really relates to. I don't know where that puts you in the ranking globally.
Mhm.
But if you're a German state or a US state that says we have the GDP of Austria, that tells me something more. It tells me you're a developed economy that is highly successful, highly productive, and there's a lot of positive associated with that. So that storytelling and contextual aspect of things is incredibly important to building trust and strengthening those proof points. An example of this is the Greater Zurich area. These guys do a lovely, lovely job just putting trust signals all over their website. You see this map in the middle here. This thing has been all over social media. It's a great, this is a fact. These are all the AI companies that are operating here in Zurich. They do a great job in this blue section on the right of just telling their story in a different way of how they help companies. It's a really interesting and compelling narrative that I would recommend that you read it and just take some pointers from it in terms of how they describe what they do and the value that they bring to companies. You see again here in the middle, the data up top, it's cited by really reputable sources. They're all updated. They have a quote from a company, a testimonial. You see this other part of the page where they have a bunch of success stories from companies that people are going to know. Trust signals everywhere, really strong data points, and they have a really well-structured website that would be a best-in-class example for anyone that's struggling with this potential issue.
And I'll also add that the Zurich site is a top tier example of an accessible site. So if you are looking into designing for accessibility, they do a wonderful job of using still colors and still having an interesting site while also being accessible to those who are visually impaired. Our next topic here is poor XEO. And when we say XEO, we're talking about SEO, GEO, AEO. It's really referring to SEO and AI and sort of how people are searching today, but how to make your site discoverable through these different channels. Some of the things we're seeing that are impairing people's SEO are slow load times and performance issues. This is a big one. If your site is lagging, say you have a bunch of embeds and your pages are loading very slowly, Google and all of these search engines are seeing that performance issue when they are considering your site. And they see that as maybe this organization isn't that serious about this. They will prioritize other sites over you that perform better. Missing meta descriptions and page titles. This is a little bit more important in the back end of your site, but when you are building out your pages, it's super important that you're putting in all of the required details about what your page is about, and describing that page so it's not just Google pulling a snippet from some random paragraph. If you're able to own what your page is about and tell Google, it will always tend to prioritize you over the sites that don't do that. No structured data markup for search engines. Again, this is a little bit more technical, but certainly with AI, on the back end of your site, when you have your developers building out your pages, there are ways that they can mark up the schema that allows all of these robots through ChatGPT and Claude and Google to easily see what the pages are about. A sort of more concrete example of that is if your website has like a drop down where it's like an FAQ question and I can expand the answer. AI tools aren't very good at reading those. So if you're able to put that content in the backend to where ChatGPT can see what's in all of those expanding dropdowns, that will help your site be found more easily. And then lastly, content not optimized. We just want to make sure that when you're writing your content, you're thinking about all of these different tools and writing for that audience. And so a fix for this, always start with our performance. This example is a microsite for Hampton Roads, Virginia. But this site is built really for the mobile experience. It scores 94 in HubSpot site, the site inspector. I recommend taking that test for your own site if you ever want to see how yours is performing. But the higher the score, the more it's going to be favored in SEO. And then their content is also written in a way that's structured and really clear about what Hampton Roads is and the benefits of being there. It's a talent attraction website, but they do a really nice job of speaking through the value proposition of Hampton Roads. And in this example, you can see an AI overview where Hampton Roads did come up. And this is not a very large city. So the fact that this was able to even populate here is really exciting. And it just shows that these things do matter.
I'm glad you brought up AI. What we're seeing with AI these days is that there are almost two work streams you should think about on your website. One of them is all about the information that is used to attract organic users from traditional search as well as the AI chatbots. So there's that information and how you structure that information to get people to discover you through those various search channels. But once they get there, and especially in the age of AI, they are coming more informed. So what can you add that is new to the discussion? That's all about the insight, and that is the second work stream of sorts on your website. Information gets people there. Insight is why they may want to stay there and why they will learn to trust you and become a lead at the end of the day. And so the symptoms of this lack of insight, which is a barrier to getting people to progress to that level of becoming a lead, is recycling the same information as everywhere else. There is a bit of this that you need to get discovered by the various search engines, but thinking about that only is not enough. We need to provide that human level perspective. Context, it's there again. I think it's shown up in 5 of ours so far, 5 of the 6. Really lacking that contextual significance and not putting things into a storytelling narrative. The weak differentiation. So we always struggle as places to differentiate our locations from all of our competitors. There's just so many competitors. We need to put some effort into this to really explain that 4th point there of why this location. We may not have to have be the most unique place in the world. We don't have to be a unicorn, but we should at least have some moderate differentiation that says we are the best for this part of the world or in this industry, having some effort to differentiate why we are what we say we are, which is a fantastic location for talent, for business, but answering that why question, why here, why now, and to do so in a compelling way. It takes taking that narrative to the next level and not just relying on information which AI chatbots can perform or can provide to a lot of different people. We're really looking for that next layer. So a great example of this is IDA Ireland. They're a great example of a lot of things. So if you visit their website, there's a lot of different elements from this presentation that they also do well. But I love how they tee up their case studies. I love how they show their value. Businesses don't just invest in Ireland, they reinvest. That is a really key point. They have not just a bunch of case studies about how companies have chosen to locate there, but also why they've chosen to expand there after that. And so they get into that with their storytelling around these case studies. This fourth image here, if you can see it, talks all about why this company set up there. It was for a ready to go, investment ready site that this company needed, and that was why they chose to go there. We often see with a lot of these success stories, they don't provide enough detail around why, and IDA Ireland does a really great job of capturing that as a part of their narrative from a success story standpoint, but also from a value proposition standpoint on all of their industry pages.
And our last point here is about an underused CRM and automation. So you can get all of the leads in the world, but if you're not following up with them, or if you're not organizing them and using them strategically, then you really are just leaving money on the table. Some of the things that we see where this starts to happen is where there's manual lead handoffs with no tracking at all. So you make the introduction, but nobody knows that has even happened. And then there's this kind of fractured communication throughout your own organization about who has been contacted. Website forms are not integrated with your CRM. Those things should be talking to each other. It's an easy thing to connect and put together that will allow you to have all of that information organized. Lost leads due to slow response times. This is a big one, and I know that it tends to happen with capacity, but there are ways to automate responses as well. There are things you can do to curb this and prioritize those different leads. And then no visibility into the source or behavior. If you're not able to understand where this person came from or what they're looking for, you're not able to replicate it. So keeping an eye on those metrics and trying to figure out what the patterns are will allow you to get more leads by leaning into that and sort of building your content around that. So the fix, it didn't exactly have a website example to share with you, but some of the steps that you can set up, you really should have those forms and anything in your site connected directly to your CRM. As I mentioned, there's a way to do automated messages in most CRMs. So if you don't have capacity, it can be a simple email that comes from you with some of those follow-up steps and making that connection, letting that person know that they are heard and you are interested in talking to them. And then having a system for scoring those leads, having a nice place where it's all organized and clear, where you're able to understand what has happened, what action has been taken, and what action needs to be taken. Setting this up can feel a little bit intimidating, but one thing that's nice is that most CRM tools, HubSpot, Salesforce, you have a representative you're already paying for with your subscription to the tool, and that person will be happy to help you understand how to tie all of this into your site. Also, your website developers should know how to do this. So these are really small, easy things to do that will really help with that CRM integration and making sure you're not losing anybody in the dirt.
Excellent. We made it, all 7. There you have it, all in one shot is the 7 areas to really look at to improve your lead generation potential on your website, regardless of the audience that you're ultimately pursuing. As a part of this, if you are here, if you've registered, we'd like to offer you a 25% discount on our website audits. And so you see the cost here in different currencies, but happy to schedule something in early 2026 to give your program a strong start to the year. If you're in the Americas, you're welcome to reach out to Shan Lee directly. If you're in Europe or elsewhere internationally, you're welcome to contact myself directly, and you can do so when I send the follow-up to this presentation. Just let us know if you're interested, and we can work that out and time it out. So a little holiday discount here, if you will. A reminder, our final webinar is in January, mid-January. We're going to look at 6 mistakes we commonly see in international place marketing. So please join us for that. We're also teeing up another webinar series for next year as well, where we'll have some of our clients and some of the other practitioners in the business join us for explanation of some of their campaigns and some of the work that they do. With that, I don't see any questions in the Q&A section. I sent a note via text there that you're welcome to. If you do have any last questions, feel free to get them in real quick. But otherwise, thank you all for joining. Please feel free to follow C Studios on LinkedIn using this QR code. And otherwise, everyone have a great rest of your day, and we wish you a lovely new year and a lovely holiday season overall.